New South Mob. Be sure to check out the latest offering from author Karagosa Somerville, The Burden of Sweetberry. Taking place in small town Alabama, Sweetberry Armstrong is a vain woman who pits good against evil in her adulterous relationship with Deacon Hosea Hess. For nearly 20 years, Sweetberry has been the deacon's mistress, but out of respect for him, the community has turned a blind eye. The relationship takes an unexpected twist when a wealthy player, Luther McGill, comes to town, and Sweetberry is intrigued and abruptly abandons the deacon for him. After several confrontations and unable to bow out gracefully, Deacon Hess takes matters into his own hands and murders Luther McGill on the church grounds. This story, full of mystery and deceit, highlights features of the African-American culture common for the time, including a style of speaking, humor, worship, and songs of praise. Be sure to look for this Amazon bestseller everywhere books are sold. The Burden of Sweetberry.
Internet, you are now listening to the FreeLunch Podcast. This is your man, Premium Pete. Yeah, I'm calling from Brooklyn, and I'm letting you know that you're tuned right in. Don't go nowhere. The place to be is right here. Listen to the FreeLunch Podcast. Cheers.
Yeah. Set the world on fire, take the block by storm, but I blow so cold. Nigga, warm your hands in the hell where the fire burn blue when the wheels turn slow when the steel pierce your skin, but it ain't so soft. I was raised in the Ville, I'm prepared for a war, and my shield so thorough that I don't need a hammer, and the heat don't scare me, man. This Alabama in the summer like a hammer to a runner, you gon' feel me. Go ahead, call me Green Tea Billy. Free Willy in your mind at the same damn time. You don't even wanna reach for the ceiling high. Listen, man, I'm the truth, won't lie. That's why I tell you put your hand to the sky. We can live for the moment, screaming out omens like the roof on fire. Finna set the world 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 on fire.
Welcome to the FreeLunch Podcast, a member of the New South Movement Podcast Network. I am your boy Tight, one half of the FreeLunch Podcast duo. B. Jeezy, it's been a long day for you, boy, man. How you doing over there?
That grind, something serious, huh?
Man, trying to manage multiple time zones and putting in 12 hours and not even being appreciated. I feel like a black woman or black mama.
Whoa.
Black mama got to go through a lot. The point I'm trying to make is black girl magic is real.
It's a real thing. Underappreciated.
Undervalued.
That's what I'm trying to say. Underappreciated, undervalued, but powerful indeed.
That's what I'm trying to say. No disrespect to the black women out there. I ain't trying to be donkey of the day like Ricky Smiley.
Whoa. We don't need you to be donkey of the day, dog. We have a high women audience, so I don't need you to mess that up for us. So walk light, brother. Walk light.
Ricky Smiley with a donkey of the day.
That was terrible, man. That was terrible. His son and he. That was crazy, man. And they tried to justify it on top of that.
They did. Well, two things. Well, I heard, so yesterday was when he actually did the apology. For those that are listening, yesterday was the previous day that he was giving Don't Get a Day. But it was interesting, BG, because when it happened, when I was listening to it on the Breakfast Club this morning, when I immediately hit up head cracking. I was like, FYI, Ricky getting donkey of the day. Head crash say, I heard.
Yeah. And he wasn't. Charlamagne actually had another one in store and switched it once he heard that story about Ricky Smiley and what happened on this show.
He did. So anyway, I say all that to say, man, black girl magic is real and black women are underappreciated, because if my day is anything like what they go through on a daily basis, I ain't cut out for that.
Yeah. Well, we appreciate you. Stay focused, stay motivated, keep pushing. Don't ever give up.
I'm finna bring on our guest, but can I bring out so we can put her on the spot?
I don't know. You think she can handle it?
We finna find out. She ain't got no choice.
She's stuck.
Has a deep background in fitness. Well, let me say this. I first met this person, this beautiful woman, a member of Delta Sigma Theta sorority. When I was living in Houston, Texas. had an opportunity to get introduced to her and start learning her story. But what I was intrigued by was the way she just handled herself and conducted herself, even though she had a lot of accolades. At the time was a member of the Houston Texans cheerleading staff, but that was only one aspect of what she was doing from a professional perspective. And then to top it off, BG, what really inspired me was when she decided to stunt and put a little sauce on it and let the world know on Instagram that she bought her mama that new Benz stunt.
That's what you're supposed to do.
Absolutely. So when I saw that just topped it off, and I was like, man, if I can only be like Miss Ada. So I'm gonna put on the spot because that New Edition player.
Y'all gonna respect New Edition.
They gonna respect.
See, some people new to the party, man. I've been with New Edition all the way back when. Mr. Telephone Man, Can You Stand the Rain?
So with no further ado, we finna find out her favorite New Edition song right off the bat. Miss Ada Abanobi. Did I pronounce your last name right, Ada?
It's Abanobi. Yes, thank you. Hello, everyone.
You know the first question off the top. Did you watch the New Edition minutes? Well, I guess the first show.
Yes, I did. And I think Candy Girl is actually one of the first one that I can really remember. Gosh, I can't believe how many years has passed. But yeah, that's one of my favorites. That's one of the first I can remember that I really liked.
Took it way back. Candy Girl.
And I know. So when you was watching the first show in the series, did it take you back to when you were coming up as a little person growing up in Lubbock, Texas?
Lubbock.
Did y'all listen to New Edition in Lubbock, Texas?
The people want to know. I definitely want to know.
The people want to know this now.
Yes, we did. We did listen to the Lubbock, Texas. So, we had a radio station out there that had a little bit of everything, I'll say. And so if we were lucky, we caught it there. But thanks to TV shows like or channels like BET, that's where we were able to get a lot of our minority music from.
Okay. This is the second question. This is the second piece of that question. Did Mama Nim allow you to watch and listen to New Edition?
Or were you sneaking to watch it?
Well, with my parents' work schedule, there's plenty of time to watch it. So I don't think my parents are necessarily aware.
That would be a sneak. That's a sneak. That's a sneak.
Well, Ada, I appreciate you. I really do appreciate you agreeing to be on the show but like I was saying earlier and really in the introduction, just really inspired by a lot of the things that you've done, which only speaks to what's to come. BG, she was stunned taking pictures with Scarface the other day, posting that to IG, letting the world know that.
Okay.
Yeah, she's stunned when she was giving her speeches. When she was doing, what were you doing? Career Day? Okay, you kind of talk about that particular day as to how you got matched up with Scarface.
Yeah, it was actually kind of random. A friend of mine asked me to come to speak to Missouri City Middle School for Career Day, and luckily my work schedule was such that I was off that day, and so we kind of met up, and we were all assigned a total of 5 rooms to go from room to room, and I entered one not knowing necessarily that I'd be paired up with anybody. And then Scarface came in, and I was like trying not to fan out. So we actually went from room to room together to do the whole total. I think it was 5 classrooms. So it was really nice. And I love getting back and speaking to the kids of pretty much where I started from and where I am now. Hopefully to inspire at least one person who thinks that they may not be able to, make it to a point. So it was a good day.
Well, it is though. It is though, and that's why I was telling you that. It's only appropriate that we get Ada to be on the show because, in my opinion, I think you have a very interesting story. But before we jump into it, what were you kind of sharing with the students on that particular day, out of curiosity?
Well, I had a quick 10 minutes to speak to these students, and so what I did was I brought some props with me, and it included one of the magazines that the Houston Texans put out, that I was in the time that I was on the team, and I had some pom-poms, and then I followed that up with some fitness equipment, and then I followed that up with a stethoscope, and I asked the students to guess what my profession was. And in a couple of classrooms with students, there's one student in at least 2 classrooms who was able to guess that I was all 3 of those things, which was correct. And so I, did a quick rundown of my story of being a student who had nothing, immigrant parents, and then, to be to the point where I am now, and, having to do some juggling in my life, because to cheer, for example, and to, work as a nurse took a lot of schedule maintenance and that kind of thing. And then I went back to school 2 times as of recently. And so it was really time management skills, and those were the kinds of things that I was trying to hone into those students. You can do it despite not having things. It doesn't always take money to make money, because I, at one point grew up very poor. And at the same time, as if you put your mind to it, you can do it. And even if that means juggling, to do it all. So that's pretty much what I could get in the 10-minute time frame that I had.
How did they respond to that, being that you had all of these different things in your arsenal? Did they have that look of disbelief in their eyes?
Yes, I think they did. Some of them were quite surprised I was able to do all of those things. And it was funny to kind of hear from, from a teacher who was saying, look at her as an example, So I know that there were probably some instances where a student probably had excuses for not being or doing what they were supposed to do. And then to have things reinforced that you don't need those excuses, I think, I could see from the teacher's eyes that this is kind of something they wanted to drive into their students as well. So I enjoyed it. I really did.
So Ada, you were raised in Lubbock, Texas, but were you born in Lubbock, or were you born in Nigeria?
No, I was actually born in Indiana, Evansville, Indiana. My parents came from Nigeria, landed there, kind of thing. I was born there, and then in pursuit of higher education, and kind of knowing somebody who ended up being in Texas, is where my parents moved to Lubbock. So I had been in Lubbock from the time I was 2 years old until I graduated from Texas Tech University.
Let's go back to that period when you were growing up in Lubbock, and then your parents being immigrants from Nigeria, and you being the oldest. Shape that story. Being the oldest, the responsibilities that kind of fell on your shoulders, but also, being raised in a Nigerian family and household, but trying to also be Americanized.
One of those things, unfortunately, unlike Houston, there's a non-existent Nigerian community in Lubbock, Texas. So, we were, I would say that I'm very Americanized. I didn't have the opportunity to have the language, I would say, reinforced like I would here if there was, that uncle or play uncle, or the community that's close, like I've seen here in Houston. Otherwise, as far as growing up in Lubbock, I grew up really when I say with nothing, it wasn't much. My parents were students. Both of my parents received more than one degree. My dad's got his doctorate degree from Texas Tech University. My mom's second degree was the Bachelor's of Nursing from Texas Tech as well. And so as the oldest child, there's a lot that I got to see that perhaps my youngest brother didn't get to see because of the growing pains of trying to go to school and balance that family that my parents had. Education is always the truth and the way, right? So that was one of those things that was kind of always reinforced to us as kids, and I, did the best that I could to follow up with that standard. Didn't really get to go to Nigeria as a child. It's not cheap to fly back over to visit family, but my parents did let us know, what it was like there, and knowing that from the time you're in grade school, which is elementary school for us, people are paying for education. So my parents, always made sure that they let us know that there's no reason to take advantage there's no reason to not take advantage of the education system that's here that is free. And if you study hard enough, you can get even college education for free. Why would you not do that when you know that there are people, back home, as they say, who are suffering and who are unable to do, and they would grasp, run at the opportunity to get even just elementary education. So having that, staying in your mind for a long time will make you, strive to achieve academic excellence. Being a female in the first child is different, I would say. There you don't get as many freedoms as some of the boys do, just from the natural, I guess, order of things for children, being the first, you get the experimentation phases of everything as far as being strict and everyone's guard being up, and then you're the one that's not supposed to mess up. So I did have, a lot of that pressure in a way on me, but at the same time, I'm appreciative for it because it helped make me the person that I am today. And I don't think I would go back and change anything about that.
And it sounds like the early struggle was real, but your parents were indeed pretty solid. But what kind of kid were you? How would you describe yourself in those early years?
I was a kid athlete. I was very playful. I was tomboyish. So I went and played football in the. We lived in an apartment complex most of my years under my parents, and so we played out with the kids. And I was the one chick who was doing tackle football. That was the time when Herschel Walker was live. You know what I mean? So I was that. I was the female Herschel Walker back then.
You were Herschel. Wow. Wow.
So, I'm protective of my siblings, of course, and had to be watchful over them in the neighborhood and those kinds of things. But I was a good student, all A's kind of thing, well-liked by my teachers, well-behaved, and I still think I'm that way now. That way now.
I'm still tripping off of the Herschel Walker. I just got bitches of her running down the field screaming, Herschel.
Well, you gotta call her sweet feet. You gotta take it back to the carpet.
You don't find that every day.
Nah, you don't find that every day. What were the expectations though? Because I think what a lot of people think is growing up in a or the generalization or what have you is that growing up in a Nigerian household or any African household is that a lot of strict rules, a lot of expectations on the oldest. Did you have a lot of restrictions of not being able to do a lot of things?
Definitely. As the oldest, and like I mentioned before, the oldest being a girl, it's just one of those things. School comes first and boys later, for example. So, when I got asked to even prom, in the rightful age of 16, 17, I turned the proposals down because I was like, my parents are going to freak out if I'm going to dance with a boy.
You tell them no?
No.
Huh?
Yeah. Yeah. High school homecoming, high school prom. I gave no's, and oddly enough, it's funny because I turned around and became homecoming queen and became prom queen at a school in which I'm the minority. So that was a big deal.
Stun on them. She's stunned now. She just stunned right now, BG.
No, but I'm because of these pressures, I didn't get to do some of those things that were considered normal and innocent. I was, yes, indeed, a good girl, I guess, partially because of those pressures, and I wouldn't want to let my parents down. But, it's kind of like some people here, the last thing you're going to do is bring a baby into this house. So I turned on everything that was going to give a rotten eye to me about anything, So it was really like dating was later in my life and, and that kind of thing. I didn't have a rebellious spirit really to me, for the simple fact, like I didn't do things, like I wasn't one of those kids who experimented with any alcohol or anything like that. Like kids do in that innocent age, high school or so. So because of the pressure, I guess, I didn't try anything really too early, but at the same time, I thought enough about myself at that age I didn't really want to. But I would have to say that the whole, I think the biggest impact was the lack of boys.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, I'm sure they were pretty down about that as well. You know, getting those no's and getting turned down, that usually sucks.
You while you talking about ego and people's self-esteem, you probably you killed a few self-esteem. Thanks a lot, Ada.
Appreciate it.
No, but but if I turn somebody down, it's never in a malicious way. So I think that's when someone's self-esteem gets hurt as well. It's all in how you it's all in how you deliver the rejection. But I mean, but at the same time, you have to think of how I felt as a young lady who's having to tell these people no, who are very nice people and who otherwise I would have wanted to go with them. And for me to open my mouth and say no because my parents won't let me. You know what I mean? Like, that's the pressure I had to face, so it was like, it hurt me as much as it probably hurt them because of the truth behind my no.
So let me ask you this. What other, were you in high school, you homecoming queen, you dropped that gem to the people, and prom queen, you dropped that gem to the people. So were you active as a cheerleader or in the sports? Did you participate in the sports? Were you sweet feet in high school too?
I was a cheerleader in high school. I ran track and I played basketball.
It hurt.
I was an honor student. You good old days.
You know the good old days. How was it for you? Well, you went to school in Lubbock. You went to Texas Tech.
Right.
Okay, so you didn't travel away from school. So did you?
That's because I wasn't allowed to travel.
That's what I was getting at. Your parents didn't allow you to travel?
Yeah, see, so what the funny thing is, I was a diehard UT fan, right? And I thought I was going to UT, and at some point right before my freshman year in high school, there was some kind of camp in which they invited, students out to tour the campus, and we stayed for a couple of days. So I was like Longhorns all the way. However, at the end of my junior year in high school, I was in a class, it was a Black History class, and every year they took a Black History tour through some of the HBCUs, okay? Mm-hmm. Now, when we made it all the way to Alabama, and I got to Alabama A&M offered me a scholarship off of my SAT scores and my GPA on the spot. So, full ride, right? So I was like, oh, no more UT. I'm going to Alabama. Because in my mind, I would think like any other rational person, free money is better than no money. Mm-hmm. So I called my parents, and I was really excited, a scholarship. I'm going, only to turn around when it came time to be told that I won't be going anywhere. I won't be going to Alabama. And at that point, like submissions for applications for other universities, particularly UT, because I was a UT fan, had already surpassed by the time I got the news that I would not be traveling.
Well, how does that conversation go, though? Your parents just say, no, you can't go?
Basically.
Was it because it was too far?
I think it was because it was too far, and unfortunately, with my parents not being from here and not going to an HBCU themselves, they had the negative, false stigma about HBCUs, and so that thought of perhaps your education wouldn't be seen as positively if you go somewhere else, or when you're looking for a job, that was, in their defense, their biggest fear. And so it was, that's how they kind of try to present the letdown conversation to me. So.
Well, let me ask you this. Did any of your other siblings, were they able at some point to travel outside of Lubbock to attend college?
Yes, and the thing is because of the fact that prior to graduating from Texas Tech. My whole entire family moved down to Houston except for the sister that's right behind me. We're 2 years apart, so I was already in nursing school, and then she had already been at Texas Tech as well. So we were still in Lubbock when my family moved to Houston. So after that, for example, my brother went to TSU, so HBC. HBCU. I have a sister that went to UTA. She went there on a basketball scholarship, so she was out of town. Had a brother who went to UNLV, so he was out of town. Yeah, so everybody got to go out of town but me.
You paved the way.
That's typically how I go. Let's fast forward though. You go to school at Lubbock. What is that? I mean, at Texas Tech. What is that experience like for you? Were you involved in any extracurriculars like cheerleading or track?
No, I didn't do any. So, first, it was an easy transition because I was at home, so it really wasn't anything to get to know new in the city. I didn't have to stay on campus my first year because I was lived in the area, and my parents were still in the Lubbock area, so I stayed at home. And then I moved out and got my own apartment afterwards. The transition was fine because it was. I will say because it was such a mixed school with, a lot of Caucasian and other ethnicities, it was just like my high school multiplied by 10,000 students, Right. So I had no problem transitioning from that aspect, getting from class to class. All that thing seemed to be fairly easy. I didn't do any sports. I did do, I think it was like Black Student Association.
BSU. Yes. Shout out to all the BSUs on everybody's college campus right now. Shout out.
That's it. Right. So I was a participant in that for a while until I got into nursing school. I was initially a biology major and did 2 years of that major and then transitioned into nursing school, which was still a 4-year program, but I didn't do any summers. So it doesn't really change my way of things, but I was in my undergrad for 6 years because I did 4 years as a nursing student part-time.
You're doing this in Lubbock. Are you having to work and are you helping to support your family and your siblings?
No, I did work. At some points I took 2 jobs while I was in school, but that was mainly while I was in nursing school, and they were, one of the 2 jobs would be something that would rarely required much time, but just gave me some extra money. I will say that I was kind of a financially savvy person back then and just knew that I didn't want to be poor and I didn't want to have a lot of loans. Right? So I would get my student loan money, for example, for fall. Whatever money I had left over, I would put it over for spring tuition and fees instead of doing the typical, thing, which is to spend and, use that money on other things. So when I came out of undergrad, of course, tuition is a lot lower than it is now. My total, student loan amount was like $16,000. So it didn't take much for me really to pay that back over time because I chose to do all of my schooling that way and never spend any of the extra money. So I just supported myself.
Are you still turning guys down at this point?
You took the question right out of my mouth. You beat me to it. I would definitely go ahead and ask that question. Go ahead.
You still killing dreams right now? You still a dream killer at this point?
At this point of your life?
No, I wasn't. I started making time for relationships and that kind of thing, and had a long-standing relationship while I was in college. So
there you go. Kudos.
That's what I'm saying. That's a standing up. That's a hand. I'm over here applauding.
Yes. Fist bump.
And it really is good background, really, to fast forward to your professional career. And some of the areas that I'm really interested in, obviously, I mentioned the whole the Texan thing, and you being a professional cheerleader for the Texans, and even for the semi-pro Then you cheer for the semi-pro football team or the arena football team?
Yes, I did. Before I did the Texans, I did arena football for about a year and a half or so.
Yeah, you did the arena football thing, and then you've gotten into the whole fitness competition and all that kind of stuff. But let's kind of jump into, when did you get involved with the arena football team, and how did you get involved with that?
What had happened was actually.
Go ahead. What had happened was.
No, because anytime somebody starts something like that, they're about to lie. But I'm going to tell you the truth. When I moved to Houston in 2003 after I finished at Texas Tech, and started working, and around in 2 months or so, they started doing they had tryouts to do the Super Bowl that came in 2004, I guess.
Yeah, I remember. That was the Janet Jackson, Justin Timberlake.
Exactly.
I got pictures. Yeah. I have pictures of sneaking into the Super Bowl that I probably never told you about. We snuck into Ada. We snuck into the Super Bowl, Ada. But go
ahead. Rebel. So I tried out for the pregame show. So they hired like 300 dancers, tried out for that. And it was at that time when I got to know some of the young ladies that I heard about trying out for professional teams. Like, I never knew about the process. Of course, we didn't have a professional team in Lubbock, so never really thought about trying out for the NFL or any other thing. So during the time after that, I think I started trying out for the Texans. I found out about it. So it actually took me 3 times at tryouts before I made the team, which is the 2006 season. But in the midst of that, I knew a guy that I was dating that played arena football, and there was a new team coming out to Katy that was called the Katy Copperheads, and they needed somebody to head up the cheer team or the dance team. So it was through that gentleman that I got the opportunity to kind of head that up and lead the team, which a year and a half, like I said, later, I tried out for the Texans, and that ended up being the year I made it. So in the interim, I still had some time to be on the field and cheer and, do some dance and that kind of thing before I made it to the big spotlight.
So for the Katy football team, you were the head cheerleader at that point, or you were one of the?
Yes, I was the head coach.
Oh, I don't think I knew that. I didn't know that.
But Ada, you're also a nurse at this point in time too, right?
Yes, I am.
So how do these two things intersect? What is the connecting point between nurse by day, I guess, and cheerleader by night? How does that work?
Well, with the arena team, they don't, what I did is I worked my schedule around those games. And it's not like the season isn't anywhere as long as an NFL season. And we don't have all the other demands of a professional team. However, because I was a coach, that means I had to figure out practice and when we're going to do it and how. I took on a friend. There's a friend of mine who we're still good friends to this day, and I brought her on as a co-coach so that when she can help me choreograph routines, and then at the same time, if I couldn't be at practice, then she would be there. So that helped. And because she was a personal trainer, she had access to a gym so that we can have facilities to practice at. So that's how that whole thing worked out, where we'd have practice on the days that I was off that week, to get things in line. I'd make sure I'd go to the games, and we were able to juggle that all together.
So where are you finding time to have relations with your friend that help you to even get the job?
Well, the thing prior to, because we work 12-hour shifts, most nurses probably work 3 days a week if you're not trying to get a whole lot of overtime. Yeah. So, within 3 days, you get 36 hours right there. And at the facility where I work, it was pretty much 2 days on, 2 days off, and then a 3-day spout, which is usually the weekend. So, you end up doing a lot in the 2 days that you're off to spend time with friends, or if you're in a relationship and that kind of thing. And so that's when I found the time to do other things besides just work.
What area were you working in at the hospital? What department?
I'm actually in the exact same department I've been in for all of this time. So I work in orthopedics and trauma at Memorial Hermann Hospital in the medical center.
To me, it just speaks to the focus, the discipline, the dedication for something that you're interested in doing. So for all our women that are listening to this show, and especially the young people, the young girls that may be interested in just knowing the process to become a Houston Texan or a professional cheerleader. You say you tried out 3 times. Can you kind of speak to just that tryouts and kind of how do you go about even participating in a tryout and what that experience was like?
Sure. I think some of the things that really help is that, one, of course, you got to pay attention to the website because they always announce their cheerleading tryouts online. 2 is know who you're up against. And I say that from the standpoint of, realistically speaking to my African American ladies, if you know or you look at a team and they have 5 black girls, and they have a team of 36, you're not going against 36. You're going against those 5 spots.
That's very important. Yeah, that's good. That's good information. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because the thing is that, and I don't, not to sound in a negative way, but there's not a lot of teams where it's a lot of people who look like me, as far as my skin tone. So realistically, I had to look at that person and what she looked like and she was doing and saw her as my competition. That was number 1. Number 2 is that for anybody who's trying out, regardless of ethnicity, is that there's 2 things to look at. See what the team seems to like or what they're missing. For example, and I've told some young ladies who were not African American that, for example, if they like a lot of blondes, are you willing to dye your hair? Because being a brunette person, and you show up to dance tryouts, if they have a liking for blondes for whatever reason, you may consider doing an auburn or a blonde color to your hair so that you're getting that consideration. Those are some of the things that I think that if you were to pay real attention to teams or some of those cheerleading squads that it will pop if you start looking one year after another. Another thing is, for example, if they have their brown-headed girls, their black, blonde hair, but they don't have a redhead. If it goes with your complexion, you may consider becoming a redhead. Because then you stick out. So if you have really good dance skills and your look is a little different, you may stick out amongst a sea of brunettes. That's another consideration. And then finally, I'd probably say don't be afraid to take a dance class. Now, for me, I have no technical training whatsoever. I've never been to a dance class. I grew up really poor.
You know what I was about to say, don't you?
No, I don't, but I know she got natural rhythm.
She just sounded like William Hung when he say, "I have no technical training," and then he got up there and started singing.
Well, not in that sense. I do have rhythm, but some of the terms.
I got a question though. You got the rhythm, Ada, but is there ever a time when you're looking at them other girls on the team and like they are rhythmically
challenged?
No,
you got to say rhythmically challenged.
I've seen some teams and like everybody ain't got it.
Right, but it really depends on that coach and what they're looking for and what they're allowed to do. Right. The thing is that even over time. But let me speak specifically for the Houston area. Depending on who the coach is or who's in charge of marketing, because, cheerleading comes actually under marketing. If their boss says that they don't want any of that hippity-hop, you're going to see a whole bunch of line dancing on those sidelines. And that's where you're going to be able to mask the rhythm, right? But if you have one who's a little bit more up-to-date and knows, the impact of some hip-hop and all those kinds of things, who allows it every now and then those tryouts are going to have to reflect do you have the ability to do hip hop so that you're not off a rhythm? So,
I've seen some struggles.
We had an African American coach, and she was excellent at picking candidates. All the girls could really dance, or whatever she may be looking for that season. I would not say that they had years of people who had no rhythm.
So how many days? How long are these tryouts?
When I was trying out, I think there were literally between 1,000 and 1,500 girls who would show up to try out. So the tryout period, they would do a big chop the first round, another big chop the second round in one day. So that would be that Saturday. And then Sunday they would make some cuts again, and then you had like a week or a week and a half in which you learned another routine. You ended up doing interviews, and of course they had to do their necessary paperwork regarding background checks and those things before you had finals, which would come that next week. Finals would come, and then when I was on the team, they started the whole, where you let the public pick a cheerleader, so they got down to 3 people and let people pick. So with that whole thing, it was advertising and trying to get online clicks and stuff like that, which drug things out probably an additional week.
Wow.
Yeah, so, because, the girls had to get people to vote for them,
Right.
After that, the way they have it scheduled, draft day comes, because that's the whole big introduction for the cheerleader finalists was draft day. And there's probably 50 of us that gets changed to 34 to 36. And we perform there, and we're at the, arena and that kind of thing. And a couple of days later is when they have the final cut.
When you're going through this process, are you in communication with your company, or do they know that you're going through this tryout, or are you waiting to tell them until you get chosen? What did you do?
I told them that I was trying out for the simple fact that I worked 12-hour shifts, and so they had practice, to learn the routines and that kind of thing in the evening time, 6 and 7 o'clock. So I worked 6:45 to 7:15, and although the stadium isn't but a 15-minute drive from the hospital, I still have to give a report to another nurse and then leave and change. So I let them know, and luckily, we work really well as a team, and as other staff members knew, they were really cooperative in helping me with my efforts. So I would have, for example, somebody would be kind enough to come in for their night shift early so I could leave to go to practice. And when I ended up making the team, that's the same thing that happened, where I would, get off early in order to make team practices.
You get the news that you have made it.
Mm-hmm.
What does Mama and Papa say?
It's funny.
Because I'm sitting here imagining you couldn't even go to Alabama A&M, and now you are a cheerleader that's going to be on national TV wearing a cheerleading outfit.
Right. So the thing is that, it's like in high school, so they're not opposed to that part, but I think they just don't get it. They don't understand, why somebody would want to do that in their adult age. So it was like, oh, okay. It's not like, oh, that's nice, and it's not like that whole, oh my God, I can't believe, when you, for other people, I say, would understand the gravity of being able to make the team. They never really grasped it at the time. So it was like, oh, okay, you're going to go to the game? Yes, this is professional. The same professional football you see on TV. Yeah, I'll be down there, the little person. Yeah.
And they never, it really just wasn't the dots weren't connecting. So you say, I made it, and you're excited, and they like, all right, you need to be at church. You need to be at church before you go out there.
Right. Make sure you don't miss too much work.
That's hilarious. So at this stage, you're establishing your career Is this like, being a cheerleader, being a step for something else? Was it just a hobby outlet? What did all of this mean for you at that stage in your life?
Oh gosh, it's the achieving of a dream that I felt like was not possible otherwise.
The challenge.
It's very much the challenge. And I don't want to say dream like all my life I've been dreaming of being an NFL cheerleader, but from the standpoint of, when you grow up without having, we didn't have the money or finances for hobbies that cost money, right? Yeah, you can do track. You can do track in high school and junior high school, but there wasn't going to be any AAU, because it cost money. We didn't have the money, and there wasn't camps, and there wasn't those kinds of things that cost an exorbitant amount of money. I did Girl Scouts and all that kind of stuff, but all that to say is, like, the stuff that costs extra money or dance classes and stuff like that. To this day, I would say if I had the chance, I would be, take dance when I was a small person, just because I have this love for it, that I love to watch it. I'm like mesmerized by it. Would that have helped me if I had come up all those years to, for the Texans, and I could have made it my first year? Who knows? But for me, it was like I had that challenge, and every year when I tried out, I got better. I couldn't help it but to keep trying again to see if I could finally make it. The thing about cheering or dance, or in some aspects, is that there is a timeline for it. Like most athletic things. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know anybody for a man who's like 40, who's like, I think I'm going to go out to combine, right? So there's a time frame in which your body is able to do, certain things and to look a particular way. And, I was even old for the team. I was 26 at the time that I was on the team, and I was one of the older girls on the team. And back then, everybody else was 21 and up. Where now, I think we see more females who are probably 18, 19.
Oh, really? That young?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Because all you have to be is an adult, really to try out, number one. And number two, one of the biggest differences that I've noticed from between now and then is that everybody that I cheered with had a career.
Right.
And I loved that about that, So as much as we took that very seriously, as far as being a professional, right? We were professional cheerleaders, is that 99.9% of us had a different profession. So there was a way in which we carried ourselves because we were professional women. I haven't personally experienced it because I'm not on the inside, but I can only imagine how things may be different if you are 18, fresh out of high school, high school cheerleading, and you think you're going to be able to do the same thing as when you were on varsity in the big leagues.
Right.
So we didn't have a lot of the catty behavior and things like that because it's like, I leave here, I got to go to work tomorrow, y'all, so bye, Right. And didn't have a lot of the mess. So I think that's the only thing, like, to be able to do that in that age with my lack of experience as far as dance and, to see people who dance beautifully, who had been like college cheerleaders and dancers, and still to be side by side with them, it was something that I took to heart, and I'm glad I had that opportunity.
What was game day like?
So if the game was like 12 o'clock, I think we were at the stadium like 7:30. It was insane.
Wow.
Yeah, you don't really think about it. We were at the stadium really early. We're doing one final run through in our outfits, and then, tailgaters and everything start showing up, and TV media starts showing up. And so as people start kind of getting their seats, or people who are in the suites and those kinds of things, we all had, different stations that some of us were grouped by to go and visit some of the suites or some of the tailgaters and those kinds of things to get these people, kind of hyped up for the game before we got back to final prep to be able to cheer the guys onto the field.
Was there compensation as a professional cheerleader? I heard that there wasn't, but
there's not much. Let me tell you, you're not leaving that career for it.
Straight up.
No, we are compensated to a degree. It's not a whole lot, like I mentioned. Every team is different. I've heard different things from girlfriends who may have turned around to do Dallas afterwards. But we're under, at the end of the day, we're under the marketing umbrella, so when you have appearances and you see the cheerleaders go to an appearance or whatnot, those people have to pay a fee to have the cheerleaders come out. Do we get a little bit of it? Yes. But when I say it's little,
it's a little. It's gas money. Y'all got some gas money to come up over there, and then they
and to get a snack
get y'all a Gatorade on the way home.
Now it's game day, and you are right down there on the field beside the action. You're young Herschel. You got a background in being Herschel Walker. Is there a tendency to want to watch more of the game than cheer?
There's a natural tendency because the audience reacts to the game, right? So when the music comes on, that's the timeouts or the ref is making a call or doing instant replay. There's still a tendency to just look at the field.
Mm-hmm.
But we're professionals now, so when that music comes on and your line person starts dancing, you better be on point or you won't be at the next game.
Gotcha.
Oh wow. Do professional cheerleaders travel with the team?
No, we didn't. But for example, I know there's tours that some of the young ladies are having opportunities to do nowadays, where they may go overseas, to visit the troops and those kinds of things. But if you really think about it, for example, if you've ever been to an NFL game, you won't see the away team's cheerleaders. So That's kind of how it is. You're at home, you stay at home, and on the field.
These questions that we're asking have always been on my mind when I've gone to these games, because I think I can understand it in high school and college, but it has to be different when you have adult people that might also have other lives to come and do that. And I did some research on you in preparing for this show, and I see that you have an intense liking for fitness. And so
hold on. Before you go into the fitness though, BG,
so you just remember and just cut me off.
I just remember it. I didn't know you was finna go into fitness though. I thought you were gonna have some more. Okay,
I got my serious question. I wanted to know about rhythm and watching the game, so I got my questions answered.
Okay, I got this. Well, this is my last question about cheerleading.
Uh-huh.
What are your thoughts? Okay, so it's been a conversation that was had on a popular ESPN radio show I listened to about perhaps having men cheerleaders. What are your thoughts at this stage in the game and where we are on the equality question and social justice, et cetera, of having a man or men cheerleaders, professional, for like an NFL team? No, BG, this ain't for you. I don't want your response. I'm asking professional cheerleader her thoughts on having having male professional cheerleaders. Now keep in mind this may go viral. This may go viral now. Your response
I don't want to be on the other day either. No, look, this is my thing. Number one, not every team has a cheerleading team, period. So before we bring men to it, maybe we want to bring women on all the sidelines. And then we can make a fair assessment.
No, what you said, not everyone doesn't have a cheerleading team?
No, I don't think so. There are some teams, and really? I can't pull them out of my mind at the top. Some of the colder regions.
I didn't know that.
Don't have cheerleaders, yeah.
Okay.
I don't know if the Patriots have cheerleaders. I haven't been paying attention. But I know there are some teams. There are a handful of them that don't have cheerleaders. Number one. Number two, the way I kind of see cheerleading in football or some of the sports in football is that the women are the beauty, the men are the brawn, right? So you have the sideline entertainment with the women dancing or whatnot, and, they're sexy and all that kind of stuff, and, it brings more excitement to the game.
But there are some men that like to look at men.
I understand that, but there's also a whole bunch of men on the field. There's a whole bunch of men on the field. I'm just saying.
Okay.
If that's the case, there's plenty of them on the field in tight.
This is just wrong.
There you have it, America. There you have it, America.
Good answer, Ada. You did well.
But if you're going to bring men on the side of the field, it changes it from, because the cheerleading on the professional level, this last point, is more dance than it is cheerleading. For anybody who's done both, and particularly women, I would say, and there are some men, if you cheered at a high school where you had tumbling and you had partner stunts, that's not the same thing when it comes to the pro level. So if you're going to change it to that aspect, then that's fine. But I don't know if there's too many people who'd be interested in seeing just dance routines from men, unless you're going to be doing the partner stunning and the, you know, the tossing and turning and flips and all that kind of stuff. So, I mean, the possibility is there, I guess, but, you know, it'll be up to their marketing and what they want to see. When you think about it, last small note, is, for example, Budweiser and a lot of these other companies that pay big money. When you see that poster, it's a female, right? Don't know if you're going to get the same play or the same attention if you have a male on it trying to sell your beer to get ready for the game. And
hey, I'm just asking the questions. I'm just asking what they talking about in the world today. That's what they talking about in the world. BG, go ahead, BG. We done. We can move past the cheerleading questions. I'm sure Ada gets plenty of those. But go ahead, BG.
My response to that is no, we don't want that. We ain't came that far yet. That'll be a bad marketing move. Bad marketing move. But anyway, the fitness
that's neither here nor
there.
You're right.
But the fitness thing. So, you know, I was looking forward to this interview because I felt like I could get some tips, some fitness help in getting my sexy summer body ready. Okay. So, because you have to balance this thing, right? You have to go. You're still working these 12-hour shifts. How are you finding the time to be that dedicated to your fitness and making it to that gym?
Well, one is, for example, I don't have a family from the aspect of, like, I'm not married with children. So that's a whole another part of the equation that I'd have to remove from obstacles, right? Other than that, I mean, I typically work out 6 days a week by my preference because I compete. Or was competing at one point, and I'm trying to get back into it now. So it's just I have to push past tired, you know, and I think for anything you want, I think a lot of us have to do that. You push past being tired to study. You push past being tired to, you know, get that new job and to update your resume. So it's the same thing when it comes to fitness for me. Now, I'm in a career field that is a total oxymoron when it comes to what we do and how we live our lives, because nurses are probably probably the unhealthiest group of people, considering what we dedicate our careers to. And part of it is because we have the long hours and we're on our feet. And so when you turn around and you work 2 days and you get your lunches interrupted, you're standing on your feet, the last thing you want to do is pump some iron or get on a treadmill, you know. But me personally, I've always loved fitness. I like the athletic body, period, number one. And number two is that I just have this overwhelming desire to be what I'm telling other people to be. I have a hard time as a nurse to tell somebody, oh, well, you may want to take your blood pressure medication, you know, and heart health and diet and all that kind of stuff and exercise. And, you know, from the standpoint of orthopedics and trauma, where I'm telling somebody, if you just work a little harder, you'll be back on your feet in no time. And I'm not doing the same thing. So I try to lead by example by doing and being, in case somebody else, you never know who's looking.
How did you get into this whole fitness competition? I've known you to always work out, and even though she's an older professional, she's still sweet feet, BG. But you know, how did you even get introduced to fitness competition?
Well, what happened is after I was finished cheering professionally, I'm the same young lady that helped me co-coach the semi-pro team told me about a team tryout that was happening called Fitness Angels, and what they do is perform routines at like bodybuilding competitions and that kind of thing. So I tried out for the team and made it. And initially I was anti competing. And the reason why is because
I could believe that.
I felt like it was yo-yo dieting on the other level, right?
Oh,
it's one thing when you yo-yo diet and you're like, I want to lose 100 pounds, then you lose it, and then you pick it back up, and then you lose it. But, you know, for the sake of, like, just trying to be healthier, but to try to get so lean, right, and you're like single-digit body fat, and then you slam back up to regular weight, regular body fat, and back and forth and back and forth. I just felt like that wasn't really too good for metabolism and those kinds of things. But, you know, my competitive spirit eventually kind of pulled me in that direction to the point where I wanted to see if I can push my body that far, and number one. And number two is I prefer to stay a natural athlete. So I don't take some of the supplements and estrogen blockers and those kinds of things that other people are willing to take to be in some of these organizations. I compete in a natural organization that does do drug testing depending on the division you decide to compete in. And at the end of the day, you know, I am very aware that like all other like sports is that there's probably some natural products out there that'll get you on the edge of almost being a banned substance. But again, I would like to walk the walk and talk the talk. So for me, if I can get a body that I really, really like and somebody who's not desiring to look like me, just wants to know how they can get into better shape or how they can kind of mold their body, I would like to be able to honestly tell them, okay, this is what you can do to get yourself there without having to take 15 pills a day and, you know, and running for the rest of your life, you know, for hours on end. So it's been a little bit of an experimentation process on myself to see how I can do it in a way that's not going to be detrimental to my health in the long run.
What was that first fitness competition like for you?
My first show was a show out in Austin, and I really would say that I wasn't too nervous only because I think that the being on stage as far as like in front of people, because I had been on the stadium floor, you know, with 70,000 people, then what's an auditorium with 150 people, right? So I didn't.
Stun on them, Ada, stun on them.
No, but at the same time, you know, I will say that there's a different kind of nervousness because on the field, I can't see necessarily just one face, right? Right. It's a blur. I turn left or right. I'm posing. It's a lot to take in at the stadium. However, in an auditorium, though, you can see that face. You know, you can see 10 or 15 people in front of you, so there's a different kind of nervousness. But I'm good at, you know, putting on a smile and just walking my walk, or, you know, because there's posing and that kind of thing that involves that, and just really hoping for the best. And I did well on my first show and loved it and decided to do a few more shows that year and 3 or 4 shows the next year. So it kind of boosted me up because I did well.
How do you feel about sugar and bread?
You talking about the tasty devils?
The devil.
The devil.
The double devil. Exactly. Yes, I'm talking about that. How do you feel about those things?
Well, the thing is that I am naturally a carbaholic. When I say I love bread, they say that man cannot survive on bread alone.
I'm
the one like, I can try it.
Love it. Me too.
I used to know restaurants by bread. Okay, so that shows you how much I love bread. But you know, I've learned to kind of cut back and make some alternatives in order to get healthy. Unfortunately, I have, you know, high blood pressure and diabetes in my, you know, genetic makeup, and so my other goal is to try to remain medication free for as long as possible. You know, and so with that in mind, I really try to, I minimize things, but I do give myself cheats. Like I'm totally for a diet plan that is not so strict right? That when somebody makes you a sandwich, you put 6 slices of bread on it, right? It's really the moderation and things, and it's really knowing how you can switch things up so you can have maybe something later in the day that you know that you're having. So I really do try to plan and foresee things. If I know I'm going to dinner with friends, you know, I make sure that I get the grilled chicken or I get the grilled salmon, and if the bread comes with it, then I won't have the rice that came as a side. So I can make those intelligent, you know, it's a thought process, it's a planning process to make and to be conscious of that. I will have to say, though, one thing that I'm lucky that doesn't hurt me is because I've never really been a drinker. And so alcohol's never been one of those things that's like, oh, if I could just cut back on the wine, you know, or if I could just stop drinking when I go out with friends. For me, it's food. And I tell people I prefer to chew my calories, you know, so I don't really prescribe to like doing the whole shake, drinking your life away with shakes and those kinds of things, because I feel like, and I'm doing some research behind it, that there's a way that you can find food alternatives so your stomach kind of feels full, you know, while it's drinking, so you don't feel like you need to binge. You eat frequently so that you don't feel like the need to binge, and make healthy choices, and then know how to switch things up so that you don't get tired of a particular food, and then every now and then treat yourself. So then you don't feel bad when you go to a party and there's cake and feel like you have to run for 3 days straight. You know, if you have a healthy balance, you can do it. But it takes determination, and what are you willing to sacrifice and what do you want to gain? I'm trying to be summertime fine. So I've been, you know.
Me too. Yeah, me too.
So, you know, for me, it's like, if I want to, do I choose to go on vacation always wearing a tank top over my swimsuit, or do I want my swimsuit showing? You know, to be okay and be happy with the body that I have. And unfortunately, I'm very hard on myself. I will admit that. And so I don't know what it means to quit or to say no or to just be satisfied with what is, if I feel like I can do and get better.
What's your favorite cheat food? What's your go-to?
Ooh, right now it's cookies. Like peanut butter cookies fresh out of the oven.
Oh, yeah, that'll do
it. How do these guys that I gotta ask, what's the right word I'm looking for? Are they able to meet your standard? Do you have a chili checklist? With you being so healthy and so fit is there a chili checklist? Go ahead, BG.
First, you got to ask her, because we did it by stage. We did it by stage as far as, is she saying yes or no? So is she saying yes or no at this stage in life first, and then go to the checklist? Turn people down.
I have a checklist of sorts. So I say yes, and this is why. I'll tell you some of those things. For example, I mean, I might be, you call it petty or selfish. I don't need to have the guy who looks like he takes steroids, because that's the stereotype that people give me, though. You know, I like an athletic body or somebody who cares about their health. That's most important to me. And, you know, all jokes aside, I jokingly say I work and take care of patients for a living. The last thing I need to come home to is another patient. You know, when you can control it yourself. And that's just me being realistic about it. Like, I'm very aware of the disease processes that are in my family, in my genetic makeup. And I'm doing what I can so that I don't have to take those pills, because that's another kind of discipline. You know, to make sure you take that blood pressure pill twice a day and make sure you take that water pill. Like, I don't want to have to be on that schedule. So for me to be with somebody who's like, can shovel any and everything in their mouth and not care and not try to do any kind of exercise, I think you waiting to have a stroke and let me take care of you, and I can't do that. I can't do that. So, you know, because I know I'm going to care about your health. So I want you to care as much as I know I'm going to care. So
that's the only thing on your checklist?
No, that ain't the only thing on my checklist, but that's regarding health.
Gotcha.
Well, regarding health and fitness, that's what it is. So, if a gentleman, if he likes to work out, he plays ball with the boys and that kind of stuff, you get some kind of cardiovascular exercise, that's fine. You don't need to be like six-packed out and all those kind of things. But if your tummy is touching the kneecap, I can't.
So,
BG, just letting you know.
You still got that Stingray?
Oh, yeah.
You're in Houston, so are you driving it fast or are you driving slow and swerving?
Okay, let me tell you like this. To quote Will Smith in the song Summertime.
Okay, 2 miles an hour.
So everybody see.
Okay. Well, that's good. Okay.
And that was actually a good lead in to my final question.
Mm-hmm.
I mentioned earlier that you went out and you blessed your mom with a vehicle. Can you talk about that day and that moment for her, and how that made you feel?
So, to me, it's priceless. I will say that because I don't have, family and kids, I have this like sense of self-awareness of things that's going on around me, right? And as an adult, and you watch on social media, I feel like every day I'm seeing an RIP message,
Mm-hmm.
And so you can't help but be aware that your parents are getting older. And I last year, for example, I took my parents on their very first vacation to the Bahamas, right? And to watch their faces, working parents, my parents both still worked, and to watch their faces when they got on that beach and when they went to the different restaurants and stuff, that is priceless to me. Priceless.
Right.
And it's a memory, it's an envision that just warms my soul. So, sorry, I get emotional. By the grace of God, my parents are still together,
Mm-hmm.
And knowing what my parents went through, I'm forever grateful. And I think the only thing that sits right with me is to be able to say thank you.
Right.
And luckily, like I mentioned, when I was in college, I try to be financially savvy, and that's how I, was able to buy my home and buy my cars and those kinds of things, always thinking for tomorrow. So prior to going on vacation, I've always known since I was very young. It's so funny because it's almost like it's a Nigerian thing. It's a foreigner thing. It's like, ooh, I'm going to get me a Mercedes. That's how you know you spent, right? And so for my mom, when I was really little, she was like, one day I'm going to have a Mercedes, one day, And so I was just like, oh, if I could just make this one day happen. And through some careful planning and some collaboration with my siblings and stuff like that, my mom turned 60 in December, and I hope she doesn't mind I'm telling her age, but she turned 60 in December, and so I decided to give her the surprise of all surprises. And we put in money together to pay for her first year's worth of insurance, car insurance, and a birthday card, and I actually bought a toy Mercedes and put it in a box and had one of my nephews give it to her. So she was, she thought it was very cute, and she was like, oh, one day I'm going to have the big one, And so when we blindfolded her, led her outside, and then my dad, he was in on the surprise because I told him about it. And I had my dad give her the bag, which had the keys, and to see her jump up and down and the excitement she had, it's priceless.
That's awesome, BG.
To be able to say thank you, and she was like, she opened her mouth and she was like, she felt like she had died and gone to heaven. Like, it's priceless.
You just raised.
Sorry, I don't know. I just found emotional. I wasn't expecting that, but.
No, that's fine. But I do want you to know that you just raised the bar. Now I got to look at myself in the mirror like, what the hell am I doing?
That's what I'm talking about, BG. Because
I got to do better. What
I'm
am I
telling you,
doing?
just imagine though, BG. Just imagine being on IG and seeing that and I'm seeing that on her IG page, and I'm like,
Damn.
wow. Like that, and that's the reason why I was like I mean, and personally, I was inspired. So, I mean, the emotions are understandable because, I mean, that speaks to your character and it speaks to you as a person and you as an individual. So, I mean, thank you for sharing that because I mean,
That's
it's the real deal. It's
that's
the real
dope.
deal. It is
And,
dope. So,
and congratulations to your mom. I hope she enjoying that cruising through them H-Town streets.
Well, you know what's so funny is
Give her
that
fever.
she hardly drives it. That's the
I
funniest
figured
thing. Like,
that.
I have
I
to
knew it.
remind her. And it's just one of those things, even for me, like I had been panting over the Corvette for the longest time. And so when the Stingray came out, I was like, I got to have it. But I'd been, saving up and putting money aside. And so when you finally get something that you thought you would never have, right? You're
Right.
afraid you're going to be the one to mess it up.
Yep.
So I think that's kind of like the thing that she has. Like, I know she goes into the garage, in her garage, and she looks like, is this really mine? She did it for like 2 days. Like, is it still there? Like, I wasn't dreaming. And I got to tell her, like, that battery would die because you don't drive it. And I know personally because I had to have my vet jump twice because I didn't drive it for like 2 months. And that was when I was going back to school. So that was what was going on behind that. So I send her text messages. Are you going to drive it this week? Because I can take it back. And she's like, no,
that's okay. That's not unheard of. And that was my first thought, was just wondering if she was really, driving it or not. So go ahead, Mama, get in that thing.
Don't stun on them.
Okay, if she don't, I will.
In H-Town. But you got to be careful, though, BG, in H-Town, because if it rains, it's flooding, so she got to be careful out there. Be careful out there.
Well, hers is an SUV, so she's sitting up high already. The thing I can't take the vet out when it rains.
Don't do that.
Oh, get stuck.
Don't do that. What's next, Ada? What you got? What's next for you? Because you continue to inspire and amaze us. The world needs more like you.
Thank you.
What's next for you?
Well, I finished my master's. I'm a nurse practitioner now. I finished that in 2015, and last year I completed a postmaster's in ER and trauma. So my next chapter of my life is as a nurse practitioner in the ER, and finding a job with one of the groups out here. So I will be making a transition out of floor nursing into that role. And then after that, I guess the possibilities are endless. I'd totally love to do something. There's something that's nagging in my core about, especially with this role, and it's part of the reason why I went back to be a nurse practitioner, is to try to help my people. Like, the numbers are staggering for heart disease and diabetes and deaths related to these illnesses that affect us, and so if there's some way that I can merge my knowledge with on the health aspect, along with, because I was a certified personal trainer, so if I can merge the two and be able to lead you with diet and exercise, and being the fact that I would prefer natural ways of things before jumping to medication, and to help those people who don't have the funds, and to maybe kill some of the stigma behind doctors and healthcare providers, I think that's probably where I'm headed to next.
Yeah, I figure out how to make Thanksgiving healthy and good. Then you got the answer.
Well, the thing is, Thanksgiving can be fine in all its badness. But the thing is, you got to be able to eat well that Sunday through Wednesday, and then eat well again Friday through Sunday again. You know what I mean? So if we can do that balance to where if it's one time a week or one time on the holidays or birthdays that you kind of go in, if the rest of your time is fine, you're not going to have these health issues. The thing is to eat the Big Macs or eat out and not worry about your fat intake and then pile on Thanksgiving. We've got to do something about it and, to decrease the number of strokes, the diabetes, all these other preventable diseases if we just eat right. Like, why not?
Yeah, but where I come from, Thanksgiving, that 3 days worth of food right there.
More like a week and a half, because you're gonna have a boatload of leftovers.
That's what I'm talking about.
You'll be that turkey and that dressing for a long time.
That's what I'm talking about. You eating that turkey and that dressing, but let's get up out of it.
That's a week and a half worth of lunch right there.
You can eat it. Ada say, yeah, you can eat it. Just eat it one day. I don't know how you coming from. You got
all those plastic bags and
Tupperware. That's enough for 3 days. You got to eat that for 3 days. So.
But the thing is, okay, so if you eat it for 3 days, just don't eat it for breakfast, lunch, and dinner for 3 days. I mean, when you got to train your brain,
yeah,
you got to act right.
That's right.
All right. Ada, I really, really, really appreciate you joining us because this was absolutely one of the funnest interviews we've done in a while. What do you say that, BG?
I've enjoyed this one. We got to have you back. Maybe we could get you back on and we'll have a talk about getting the 6-pack and making better choices at the table.
Okay. I'd be honored to come back. So
we do need you to be back on that and do a health show.
Because I got to get ready. I don't want to have on no t-shirt at the beach. I want to let my stuff flow. I want to let my soul glow.
I know that's right.
I'm gonna wear my white beater. Forget y'all. I'm gonna wear my white beater.
Oh my God,
man! Yeah, we definitely do need you to be back on the show. Just talk about the health aspect of things, because I think we need to pay more attention to that area. But with that being said, if you are interested, let the people know how they can reach you, Ada. If you are interested, if you want them to follow you on IG, you may not want that.
I'm telling you, because they might be in the DM.
Because when they start trying to look you up and then they start trying to hit you up in that DM, don't blame it on FreeLunch.
We can't take responsibility for that. We are not liable.
Well, on Instagram, I'm not the most active person. So on Instagram, you can reach me at Ada_abs. That's ADA_ABS. And I do have a Facebook page with the same. That's my athletes page. So I will be making some updates as I kind of transition back onto the competition stage, so they can look forward to seeing pics and all that kind of stuff on those two pages.
Too much sauce. VG, she was dropping sauce all day, wasn't it?
All day. But she earned it, though. She legit. When you the real deal, you can do that.
She did, but she sure would drop some sauce on y'all in a minute.
Young Herschel.
And make you pick it up. All right, Ada, well, we'll really, really, really appreciate you joining us today. This was a great show, and stay in contact, man.
Oh, for sure. Thanks for having me. I appreciate everything.
Be easy.
What up, man?
Man, excellent show. What'd you think?
It was an excellent show, and Ada, like I said, raised the bar, got me over here thinking about how I can be a better son. Like, she done went and got her mama a bean, and that bad baby shining. And I ain't done nothing.
It's legit. I'm telling you, Ada, that was legit. But she but the thing about it was we saw all three sides of her today, and that's what makes her so unique in that she got emotional when she spoke about that story, and you can tell that her parents and her relationship and what she went through, that really means a lot to her.
And that's what it's all about. They had done so much for her, the sacrifices coming over as immigrants in this country. You know how hard that could possibly have been, and to make the provisions and have, Ada and the rest of her siblings and them all be successful. I think it's only right to, in some form, show some gratitude to the people that make it all possible. So that's like the ultimate, man. That's the ultimate. So the emotion is like you can really understand that.
Absolutely. Then she been on that professional level, so she got that swag with it too.
Yeah, it's a great interview, man.
Great interview. All right, how can the people reach us?
We are the FreeLunch Podcast, a member of the New South Movement Podcast Network. You can find us on the website, www.newsouthnet.com, home to the South's hottest podcast, us right here, FreeLunch. We also got Retroscope, D1 Sports Talk, Communal Expression, and the Fearless Mystic Podcast. Check for us and tell a friend to tell a friend. We're also on Instagram, FreeLunch Podcast. Instagram for the whole network is New South Movement _net. Just stay linked in to us. Got a lot of stuff moving on as we go into 2017. So just look out, man, because we coming. I think that's it. I'm BG _DA27KID. If you want to link up with me, drop your Instagram.
Tight. That's your boy Tight. BG's. I'm noticing though that
what's happening?
That we dropping these gems and getting these and having these personalities on our shows and other podcast shows trying to duplicate. They duplicate. They going in and trying to get some of the same interviews and folks that we had. So with us being underground, BG, for us to get that, it takes a little bit more extra work compared to having that access. So
having that big machine. So what that say about the New South Movement Network? We the real deal.
We the real
bumming from the bottom.
Now
and we're gonna have to start prefacing everything with "you heard it here first." We did
might
it
have
first.
to do that. Yeah.
We got more.
We got more. We got more. We dropping 5. We got some more 5 coming. So just stay tuned. Keep listening. We out of here.
Finna set the world on fire.